Okay, well, hello everyone. And I've been meaning to do this for a while, but I'm starting to build my beginner library, but it's not so much beginner. It's mostly, I'm doing these videos as little tutorials, little kind of mini lessons, and they're kind of fun to do, and you learn a lot from them. And whether you're painting in oil or acrylic, I do paint similarly in both mediums. So if I'm doing this one in acrylic because I need to build my acrylic library for my Patreons in tier 2 who join for these little acrylic lessons and tutorials. So, but you can paint along in oil as well. And so I've got out some of my colors here. All of them are listed. The only one I'm missing is yellow ochre because my yellow ochre just got dried up. So that's it. So my clouds are different than a lot of clouds you see on the internet. Most of them on the internet are either really childish or really boring or realistic, and that's not my style. I've been inspired by Canadian painters called the Group of Seven. My favorite painting. This is one of my favorite paintings. And a lot of people don't know who the Group of Seven are, sadly, in the US because there's so much talent down here. But in Canada, we love the Group of Seven. And there's these clouds here. You'll notice little bits of color coming through. And most artists, they paint just the clouds blue, gray, and white. But you'll notice those little bits of color coming through. And a lot of the time they painted on a wood surface that wasn't gessoed, so that when you actually go see the paintings, those are like bits of like cedar or something coming through. But you'll notice how beautiful the colors are, and I just love how unboring they are. So I am bored to tears with most clouds that I see. So I am going to be inspired by these paintings when I paint mine. You'll notice the same principles are there. They go dark to light. The blue sky goes dark to light. The clouds have, a light value, a mid-tone value, and a dark value. So they're all working on the same artistic principles, just not so boring. So my job is to try to inspire people to paint, and I want to paint the way I feel, what makes me happy. And when I see paintings where they paint the clouds and they look, well, exactly the way the clouds look in real life, I get really bored quickly. So maybe that's why I haven't done a lot of landscapes. It's because, sometimes you feel you're constrained to do things the way other people do them, or no one will understand you. But I think people will enjoy it, or they can go paint those super boring realistic paintings that I don't really want to bother with right now. So I'm recreating that nice undertone. So I've got some white and some of this transparent red oxide, and that does a nice job of creating that sort of soft orangey, brown color. You can add a little bit of brown oxide, and that's just going to give it that nice undertone. Like I say, I've been to the Museum of Canadian Art in Toronto, and I spent a lot of time there looking at those paintings. They're just so beautiful and so inspiring that that's kind of the way I want to paint trees and clouds, is with that sort of inspiration in mind. No offense to those people who love painting exactly what they see, but I just can't do that. So I'm going to let this dry, and then once this dries, and it can dry pretty fast because this is acrylic, so you might even, here in the desert, I don't really need to, but I'll probably just use let it sit for a few minutes, and then I'll come back to it. Okay, so now my surface is just nice and dry. That only took a few minutes here in Arizona. And I'm just gonna focus in on this cloud here and maybe some of this around here. But for the sake of this lesson, I'm just gonna focus in on this one, and then you can apply what you learned to these other clouds. So we're looking at this one. It's got some, it's like any shape. You've got sharp edges, soft edges, you've got the light value, you've got the mid-tone value, and you've got a dark value. So we're just gonna get on to that, and I'm gonna also, like in every sky, you've got that dark blue going down to a lighter, cooler blue. So, we could start off just to keep it simple. Let's get some of this. I'm using just some cobalt blue, and I have this cute little jar of golden paint, but you can get it in tubes really off the internet. I have a supply list of all my acrylic supplies on my website. And so I'm just going to get some of that blue up there. And I want to leave some bits of that orange around. So in order to do that, I don't want to paint all the blue over everything. I want to get that little cloud, and so I can use a little bit of white. You could draw it with some pure white, because you are going to be it. We'll go over the edges and everything and change them up later. So I'll just kind of doodle roughly where and what that cloud kind of looks like. It doesn't have to be exact. No one's going to know what your cloud looked like before you from the reference photos. But it kind of goes down. Here's a little bit of another cloud, kind of wispy cloud. And then there's some cloud up here, like kind of real wispy in there. And that you can soften right in there. But we'll do that later. And I'm just, now that I have that, I want to leave little bits of that orange. So that's just the way I am. I love the look of that. And you see it in Van Gogh's painting, see it in a lot of different painting, impressionist painting. I'm not really into modern, realism when it comes to landscapes. I really enjoy a contemporary landscape more, or a impressionistic one. So I'm getting that blue in there, and you want to get it, you can add a little white to that cobalt just because as it goes down, it gets a little lighter. And just kind of get that blue in there. And I'm keeping one eye on my reference photo, and I'm keeping one eye on my group of 7. So I keep kind of the style that I want. I do this a lot. So if you're starting out and you're looking to form your own painting style, for example, find an artist that really inspires you, and you can really learn a lot. If you're not inspired, you're not going to really learn anything. So if you're watching my video and you're looking for hyperrealism, for example, you'll want to keep cruising the channel. But I was inspired really early by, Van Gogh and the group of 7, and any painter that kind of does a job like where it's more of an impressionistic look. Now I'm just going to work some of that. I'm kind of working on that wispy one because with acrylic paint, it dries a little quicker. So you know, I just got distracted with that little wispy cloud over there. And you can just kind of soften the edges with your paper towel. Okay, now I'm going to keep going down with the blue. There's a gradation of, you know, dark to light blue. And when you get used to doing clouds, you can even start to add different tones of blue. Cerulean blue is a popular one. And different shades of blue. Kind of as it gets down, it's really warm and dark blue up there, but then kind of as you get down lower, it almost has a bit of a, if you add a little bit of, I've got some cobalt turquoise over there, and if you add a bit of that, you get kind of more that cool transition of that, where it starts to get almost really cool looking, the color of blue kind of shifts into that, more of that turquoisey blue. So just keep working that in there. And if you're painting in oil and you want to get the same color, just do a layer of acrylic paint like I did, using white and transparent red oxide prior to your oil paint going on. That way you can, you don't have to wait so long for it to dry. You could do it and just make sure you wipe away really well, and then go wet on wet. That would work too. But if you're worried about it mixing, you could just you can paint oil on top of acrylic. So I'm adding a little bit of that turquoisey blue in here. Kind of gives it a nice look. And then just gonna get a little bit of kind of more of a mid-tone blue here, just to blend it a little. And I'm just working on a piece of Michael's, this is just some Michael's canvas paper, which is really good to have. Another thing, if you're just starting out and you don't want to invest a whole pile in canvases, these canvas pads, Artist Loft, they're like $6.99 at Michael's, and you can use your coupon. And so it's a small investment to get going. And so now I'm just gonna go to a little smaller brush, maybe this number 6 flat, and I'm gonna mix up some of the darker gray in the cloud. So we can just take a little, you could use even some orange, use a little orange and mix it into your cobalt blue, and it gets a really nice purpley kind of elephant blue color. I've got out a little bit of liquid medium here. It's just some Liquitex liquid medium. I think it's glossy, but you can use matte, whatever you like. And now I'm just gonna test that out here. Get that going in there, and I'm just kind of blocking in the shadow. And it's kind of a nice purpley gray. It kind of comes along here. And wherever you see some darker values, like there's some little bits that come down in here and in here. If you want it to be a little more gray, just add a little orange to your cobalt blue. It's a really nice color, and you can use it in landscape paintings. So just add a little more orange, it gets even more gray. Where it's real dark here, you can add some of that in. Okay, and then we'll go back and add some more white into that mix. maybe a little bit of orange. Whoops, don't add a bunch of orange. Just a little dab at a time, and you could go get some more of that liquid medium just to get it spread around a bit. And just sort of work that in there. Work some of that mid-tone. And you'll notice the edges, I'm kind of bringing my brush up to that edge and sort of scuffing some of that paint up and over the edge. And I can do that, especially gives a real cloud-like texture. It also, it's kind of fun painting with acrylic because if that was oil, that would be mixing all over the place. And now you see those little bits of orange coming through look really nice. Not so scary after all. And then just sort of just wisp some of that cloud in there. There's a little bit of a cloud coming behind this cloud. Get a little bit of your darker gray. And painting clouds is actually kind of nice, you know, it's kind of relaxing. And just sort of drift some of that gray out there. And then you could add a little bit of shape to this fluffy cloud over here. Just kind of blend that a little. But I'm really glad I used that undertone. And another thing, you know, when you're having trouble getting started painting, go look at art on your favorite artists on Pinterest and get inspired, you know, and then you'll find it's a lot, your brain just clicks over into that mode a lot better. I'm just taking some pure white and a little orange. And now I'm going to go for the real highlights here. So we're just going to put in some of the real bright. Some of that drifts off in there, so just kind of get in some of that nice bright white there. And up here. And just wherever you see some real bright spots, just kind of dab a little highlight in the back there. And then there's a little bit of light on that cloud down there. And then take some of that grayish color again and mix it with your white so you get a little bit, you don't want it as bright white as this, and you can just kind of drift some of that cloud back there. And there's some little bits over there. I'm going to go and get something a little darker. So I have some orange and white and cobalt, but the value is going to be darker than this, so that I'm going to bring up some little dots of cloud kind of combining in this little cloud here, but I don't want them as bright white as what I got here. A little more white, and I can just scoop the paint and get some real nice thick acrylic paint, and when it dries, people won't know the difference. They think it looks like oil paint. And I did a lot of art shows, and I painted mainly in acrylic, so I know they have to ask you because it looks like oil when you really add thick paint like this. Well, that was a lot of fun. And so, yeah, what did we learn? Well, the sky goes dark to light in our photo. Dark to light. We've got our cloud, just like any other shape. We have a light, a mid-tone, and a dark. And don't have to be intimidated. Just give it a try. You might want to soften some of those values. If they're too dark, it can look, a little too edgy. So just get some of your mid-tone value and kind of soften some of those darker marks. But other than that, I think this is a really fun lesson, and I hope you enjoy painting it. See, at the end, I can peel off my tape and I get this nice edge. So, for more videos like this, don't forget to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe and hit the like button and the notifications. That way you'll get to see more videos like this. And if you want to join my Patreon channel, you'll get all these videos after I take them off of YouTube to paint it at your own time and your own speed anytime you want on Patreon. And these are at the $10 and $29 level. You'll get these. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching. And have a great time painting.